Hi, Mary.
Hey, Jean, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good, very good. How's your day going?
Um, Very nice. Our census yesterday was 67, but we're down to, we're down
Oh,
to 60 today,
oh my God, that's insane.
isn't it?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And what's your bed capacity?
Officially 60.
Ooh, yikes.
Yeah, I
God
have
love
borrowed
you.
space.
Oh my gosh, you have to be pretty creative in your job.
Yeah. You know what I did is we had a few discharges, but they weren't going to happen until later, so I ended up creating a discharge holding area in one of the birth
Ooh.
center nurseries, and that's how we
Oh my
survived.
gosh. You are
So,
insane. God love
yeah.
you.
So
God love you. Now, are you guys in your new space now, or are you transitioning into it?
we're transitioning into it. So right now we're working on, we've gone through all of the equipment and design and everything. We actually take possession in May of 2015.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, so now we're working on how are we going to do this? How are we going to
Right,
move? How are we going to orient people? But we're starting to
right.
practice on some of the stuff.
Oh, that's neat.
So we're going to practice with the communication system starting at the end of July.
And I remember at the leadership forum you were talking about this communication system.
Yeah, it's
And go ahead.
it's an iPhone that will
Oh,
only work
neat.
in the unit, and
Mhm.
it will have texting capability, voice capability, and then our monitors will actually alarm to this iPhone that the nurses will carry. So
Oh,
if you're not in
wow.
the room, the monitor will alarm to your phone.
And will it be all private rooms?
Yes.
Wow. And 60 of them?
Now, actually, there will be, when the renovation is complete, there will be 68 single-family rooms.
Holy moly. So
Yeah.
are you taking over another floor, or is it all going to be on the same floor?
Well, so we're building a children's tower. So the children's tower will have 44 beds in it, all single-family rooms. And
Okay.
then my current space will be renovated to another 24 single-family rooms.
Will you discriminate, like will, ICU people be in one area and intermediate be in another, or will it just be a mix of wherever the bed's available?
Um, my intention is that all of the acute kids will be in the tower,
Yes.
and then this 24-bed space will have the NAS kids in it. It will have
Yep.
some of the babies who can't decide which way they're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also the nurse manager for newborn. So if a baby needs to be
Oh,
readmitted for Billy or whatever, they will come to
yep.
this space too.
The step down area, wherever that is.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, neat. Very neat.
So
Gee, Willikers, you got a lot on your plate.
sometimes it's a little overwhelming.
Sometimes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, just to be, like good for all the folks that are going to be listening to this interview. Do you mind just giving me a brief introduction about, who you are, where you work at, and how long you've been doing neonatal nursing and neonatal nursing leadership?
Hmm. So I am Jean Livingston. I am the nurse manager for the neonatal intensive care unit and the newborn nursery at Golisano Children's Hospital at Strong Memorial Hospital in Rochester, New York. I have been a
Okay.
nurse for 36 years.
Wow.
I actually came over to Strong to work in the PICU. They offered me a job in the
Oh,
NICU. And so, you know how when you're young, you say, oh, you can do
yeah.
anything for a year.
Oh, sure.
Well, so 34 years later, I'm still here in the NICU.
Fell in love with
And,
these little people, huh?
yeah, and
Yeah.
I've been in and out of leadership for the majority of my career, but I have been
Wow.
the nurse manager for the past 6 years.
Wow. Wow. And how, how do you feel now? Now that you're like, moving into a new space, how does that make you feel? And do you mind sharing a little bit about the journey to coming to this place now where people are actually going to be, renovating and giving you what it is that you've been trying to get for a while?
Yeah, so I've actually lived through 4 renovations here in the 34 years.
Wow.
And
Wow.
continually grown and added beds. And when we went to the space that we're in now, which is kind of a pod situation, we investigated flooring and ceilings and everything that we could to make it as developmentally friendly as possible. Here we thought it was going to be this mecca because the space we had been in before had been so tight.
Right.
We have 65 square feet per baby right now.
Okay.
Which includes the equipment,
65.
the nursing, the parents, which is
That's
really tight. So there's not a lot of privacy. And we don't really have a place for a mom to stay if she wants to stay with her baby. So we've been working on this for a while. It started with just trying to gain space. Our census kept growing. So a couple of years ago, we added an intermediate care space that was just an 8-bed unit. The parents love that space.
Nice.
Each baby has a little bit more room, and each space is curtained off. And in that area, there's no ventilators. So there's not as much noise as stimulation.
Yeah.
And in that room, each parent can control the lighting over their baby.
Oh,
so
that's really
dim
nice.
or switch. Yeah.
Is that the space that that I saw when I came out there many, many years ago, or is this?
No, this
was
one's
that
only
the way
about
back?
3 years old.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, this one I lost my conference room and locker room for.
Oh, oh, okay. No sacrifice too small.
Yeah, and then we realized that it still wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
And we still needed to grow more. So then when they developed this, there was a lot of ideas that went around, and then a generous donor gave us $20 million towards a tower.
Wow.
And so the Golisano Children's Tower idea was developed, and the NICU is going to be the entire 3rd floor.
Wow.
So when we move to the 3rd floor, each baby and family will have a minimum of 185 square feet.
Oh my goodness.
A single family room. We will have sleeping capacity for 1 parent. They will have their own space, their own locker. They will be able to control the temperature in the room as well as the lighting over their baby.
Nice.
They will have call lights to call the nurse if they need them.
Oh.
It's going to be huge, and it's designed like a meadow. So it's going to look like, there's flowers and fields, and it's going to be a really nice, healing kind of space. And the tower also includes a healing garden. So the parents are going to be able to actually go down someplace to just relax for a little while outside into a healing, quiet place. Yep.
Really nice. Oh my goodness, you must be beside yourself. And this, you're looking at May of 2015.
Yeah, and what's hard now is knowing that we're going to have it, and in my brain, when anything's going on here, single family rooms will fix this. Single family rooms will fix this. So now that we know it's coming, it's hard to not be impatient.
Can you share some of those things that you're experiencing now that you feel that this new design is going to fix for you?
One of the things is there's no privacy for parents or for anybody to talk to the parents. And so right now we're having a little issue with parents who think that they're protecting or being friends with another family. And they will text message them and say, so-and-so's ignoring your baby, he's crying.
Oh, my goodness.
Or something along those lines. We actually had an incident where a baby was dying, and other families videotaped it.
Oh, my.
And sent it out.
So it really, wow. a whole
social
new
media
dimension
has
of
just,
privacy. Yeah.
yeah, social media. It just
Wow.
is amazing to me what people think. I mean, what do they think is going to happen when
Is
they put it out
acceptable.
there? Yeah,
Right. Right. Wow, that's amazing, Jean. I never even thought about those dimensions around the privacy piece.
yeah. So that's a lot of what we're dealing with right now. And
Wow. So when I look at my questions, talking about how this new space will impact patients and families and staff, I mean, this sounds like one of the key things, one of the key
yeah,
challenges across all those dimensions that will be fixed with this new space.
it will be. And it also will, we're hoping that it's going to make the parents feel more independent and
Nice.
able to care for their baby and be a part of the team. And it's going to give them the place to stay.
Right.
And even if they
Right.
don't stay overnight, they're going to have
Yep.
a space where they can relax and be here all day and not feel like they're on display.
Yep. 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 That's really wonderful. Are you familiar with this new family integrated care model that came out of, I think it was Toronto, Dr. Shu Lee, where they've got parents actually caring for the infants, doing the infant cares right there at the bedside as part of the clinical team. And the nurse, outside of taking, doing a lot of the, medication administration and procedures and stuff like that, has become more a coach and mentor for the parent to try and facilitate more role identity and competency and
Yeah.
confidence in the parent.
And that's where we're hoping to get to.
Nice. Very nice. And now that it's really like on the horizon, how is the staff feeling about this? I mean, there's got to be a practical side where this is going to be a complete paradigm shift in the way
Yeah.
you guys currently deliver care.
They're scared.
They are scared.
They're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared that they're not always going to be in the room all the time, that the baby isn't always going to be visible 24/7. They're afraid that if they need help, how do they get it?
Yep. Those are real
those
concerns.
kind of things. It's huge. And then having to answer to call lights that parents set off. That's something they've never had to do before. They're worried about alarms. And so we're going to be, one of the things was we trial the phones is behind the scenes. They're going to monitor alarms are going to go to the phone, and they're going to be able to run reports for me behind the scenes.
Oh, interesting.
So that we're actually going to know ahead of time what we can change, what will make it better.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's one
so
of the
you
things
have to be really proactive. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And how, and the thing we're looking at now is how are we going to staff? And because we don't want to constantly move babies.
Right.
So say a baby gets sick, a pair that worked before might not work now.
Oh, good point.
How do we cover those kind of things?
Yep. Do you have task force then working on this, or how are you?
We have committees working on this. And then while I was at the conference, I actually met a nurse who had moved into they had just finished moving into a single-family unit. And I said, how did you get your nurses over the fear? And they said they Skyped with another hospital.
Oh, wow.
So the nurses could talk to each other.
Yep.
And they're going to do that for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
When we're ready, my NICU council, my nursing council is coming up with questions and getting people who want to be part of this. And they're actually going to Skype and talk to the other nurses and find out what it's like.
That is the best way. The best way of addressing these fears. Absolutely. Talk to people that have lived through it. And wow, I don't want to ask, but that's really, really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Now, have the parents, kind of shared any feedback, or the community at large, about how they're, feeling about this new space or what it means, to that community?
Some of them have. Some of them who understand it.
Yep.
There's like we do have a couple isolation rooms that I kind of bill as private rooms, and so there's one family that was really feeling just tired of the fishbowl, and I was able to offer them this room, and they love it.
Yeah.
They're ecstatic about it. And one of the things I think we're gonna start surveying our parents shortly about 6 months before we move, 6 months after we move, and a year after we move to see what they think about it, what the changes are.
That's
just to have more space.
Excellent. Yeah. It's an excellent segue into the next question about how will you evaluate the impact of the new space on the patient and the family's experience, which is really, really important, but also on the nursing and the medical team and their workflow and, you know, how they embrace this new environment and, you know, what their journey is in kind of acceptance, if you will, about having this new environment.
Yeah, so for parents, we're going to do the survey for them beforehand and afterwards. But also we have, we're given the NICU Press-Ganey survey. So it's specific to the NICU. So we're also going to have that kind of information too.
Awesome.
So we'll have our own survey. And then the survey that we're going to do is also going to include staff. So we're going to interview staff 6 months before the move, 6 months after the move, and then a year after the move.
Very nice.
So that we can evaluate what things, and I tell them every day, I said, none of this is static. This is going to be a learning process. We're going to make decisions to the best of our ability, and if we need to change, we change.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, just from experience, you know, kind of collaborating with you, Jean, you've always been that kind of dynamic leader that kind of takes things in stride and is very adaptable and stuff, which is really, really important, certainly in a leadership role, but certainly when you're looking at such a huge, you know, transition, that you have to be able to kind of go with the flow, critically appraise the situation, and then make the necessary adjustments as things move forward. You know, your unit, I mean, my experience with your unit has really been, you know, a focus on developmentally supportive care, and you really have really great practices there. It'll be really interesting to see how this new space influences, you know, the current developmental care practices. Yeah,
it will be very interesting because one of the things that, you know, my 8-bed space, when we move the kids there, it's so much quieter. They learn to eat better. They learn to eat faster. You know, and those are all the potential things that we're going to see. Or like, you know, when we have a really sick baby right now, and you can't have a kid in the same room who's crying because it upsets the sick baby. So then we end up moving kids around. You know, all of those things. It's going to just
which is really
make a
tough.
huge difference.
Yeah. I think probably, you know, once people kind of get over their initial fears, which are very valid because change can be scary, and when, you know, usually professionals are afraid because they're worried about the safety implications of the change and how well they'll be able to perform to the same level of excellence that they have historically in a new space. I think you're, you know, going to probably see a lot of positive outcomes. Have you guys thought about, you know, once you get settled and stuff like that, as you're measuring these things, you know, kind of celebrating some of this stuff with either a journal article or poster presentation, or is that too far ahead? I know.
No, it's not. No, it actually is not too far ahead. That's part of why this research that we're going to be doing with the surveys and that kind of stuff. It is all part and parcel of everything that we're going to do.
Yeah. I think so many units now are looking at this new environment in a single room kind of setup, and the more people that go through this experience can share their curve, you know, the learning curve of it, you know, the adaptation of the different practices and creating a new space that makes people feel really safe about the care that they're providing, but also really solid about the quality of the experience. It's important to share that with other colleagues who are, you know, kind of jumping on the bandwagon too. Yeah.
One of our hospitals down the thruway from us moved 3 months ago, so we're looking forward to talking to them.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. So let's see. Knowing what you now know about changing the environment of care, you know, in this journey that you're kind of embarking on, is there anything that you think you need to kind of reframe or change how you're moving? Or, I mean, this is kind of what defines you, Jean, is that you're very dynamic and responsive, but are there any experiences that you tell people?
We we started everybody planning.
Mm-hmm.
Staff planning way too soon.
Oh,
We didn't wait.
interesting.
Yeah, we didn't wait until we had like a blueprint. So they were jumping on all these things, and we weren't there yet. And so then we had to slow things down, and then they got to a point where they felt like nothing was happening.
Mm.
You know, so we just needed to slow down a little bit, and including the staff, until we had definite answers, and we didn't do that.
Do you feel like, so what you're saying to me, it sounds like you were very, you had great hopes of being really transparent with the project and laying it all out for folks as it unfolds, but in doing that, you do run the risk of people, like you said, getting a little bit frustrated because they're thinking, okay, we're on the edge of this, let's move forward, and in fact, you're not close to that spot at all. So, have folks kind of settled out now with any frustrations that they have?
Yeah, but it took a long time, and now that we're less than a year or at a year, people are now we're able to talk about things. We've actually been able to show them diagrams and
cool.
the space being built. And they've gotten to choose like just color schemes and curtains so that they all feel like they're part of what's happening. We've never had a unit with windows before, and we're going to have windows. So they've been able
That's awesome.
So they've been able to talk about shades, and so now we can do those things. And so that was one thing I would have slowed down a little bit, including the staff.
Yep. But now, as far as the kind of the layout of the blueprint of the space and everything, were you part of it right from the beginning?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, from the very first meeting, and now I'm actually working on the renovation of my current space, and so now I'm going through all these meetings again. So, but we have gotten to choose the layout of the room, the furniture,
nice,
the things to give parents, where their reading light's going to be, where the call light's going to be. We've been able to have input into all of that. And again, the phones, the communication system.
Anything about like the actual materials? So, when you're looking at the NICU as in a healing environment and you're looking at trying to align your future vision for this with the design recommendations, about sound, and it sounds like you've hit the nail on the head with light, and space sounds like you've totally dominated that. Have you, for the sound environment, anything in particular? I'm sorry.
One of the things the vent over the baby, we got to choose the vent and the airflow and the way it goes.
Nice.
And then we got to choose the doors. And I got to tell you, the first time I went to the mock-up and we closed the doors, you couldn't hear somebody talking on the other side of the doors.
Wow, really?
So the doors that it's this 3-tier double glass system, and it is so totally quiet. It's amazing.
Wow,
I couldn't believe
that
it the
is
first
awesome.
time. Yeah. And
it's amazing what they've got out there.
Yeah. And then there is no direct light over the baby. There's a light that reflects on the wall in the back, and the parents get to control that brightness. And then if we need a light on the baby, then we have spotlights that are attached to the beds and to the wall.
For like an examination or some kind of a critical event, you have designated lighting. Nice.
Yep.
Very nice.
And we got to even choose the depth of the sinks, and and put pedals versus electric eye, and what's quieter, and.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So did you work with an architect who specializes in, like healthcare design?
No. It was their first time doing a children's hospital. It was the first time doing a NICU.
Wow.
And I think that left them more open.
Yeah. Well, it's true, right?
What we wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you use the consensus recommendations kind of as a guide, or did you already kind of intrinsically know what it was? That's cool.
We used the guidelines, and they helped us with the guidelines, and then we kind of adapted them to what we thought and knew we needed.
Yep. Oh, my goodness, very nice. So when you move into this new space, is there a way of you guys, kind of monitoring what your sound and light levels are right now for the baby's immediate exposure to what the experience will be in the new space?
Yes.
Because right there is a great, yeah.
We are actually going to also research the microbiome of the unit.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
Yeah,
Can
so
you talk more about that? Yeah.
So we're going to test the microbiome that we have now. So we're going to just swab things and test things for sound and light. And then we're going to do the same thing before we move and then as we move and add equipment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Another cool thing. Isn't that cool?
It's insanely cool. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so that's the other thing we're going to be testing.
Wow. So you really do have a lot on your plate. Now, how's your team feeling, and what kind of resources do you have to facilitate all of this testing and eventually publication where you're going to be doing? Do you have an education team or research group? And
we have a whole research team that is
nice.
Separate from nursing.
Yep.
And then the survey and stuff, that's going to be a nursing research project, so that a lot of my nurses, a team of nurses is going to interact with that.
Oh my gosh, that's insane, Jean.
And then I have a whole group of nurses who are working totally on education and the move. So we're actually going to have about 8 weeks to orient staff to the new space.
Before you move in?
Before we move in.
Nice.
So we're going to run simulations. Right now we're actually working on, if we get a baby, so say we get an admission right now, we have a virtual whiteboard kind of thing. And so this is where we would admit him to our current space, and this is where we would admit him into our new space and why.
Oh, interesting.
So that we can think about all those. Because we do have rooms that are, some will hold a really sick baby. We have rooms that have sliding glass doors in between for twins.
Oh, nice.
We have 2 rooms big enough for triplets. So how would we do that and why?
Right. So kind of critical thinking of the triaging of the new admissions as they come through. Yeah. Now, do you guys do deliveries as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay. How is this new space going to be connected to the delivery area?
So our 3rd floor is an antepartum unit, high-risk labor and delivery, and then a birth center.
Yeah. I see.
So our unit is going to the new unit will be connected to the hallway that starts with antepartum area. It's just a hallway over to the unit.
Wow.
So people are, in their minds, they thought it was going to be far, but now we can actually see this hallway.
Makes all the difference, right?
And it makes a huge difference,
Yeah.
We can actually see it
now.
Wow.
That
so
is awesome.
I'm like, oh, so that's not as long as we thought.
Which is reassuring. I mean, that's just one thing less people have to worry about. Yeah.
Yeah. And this hallway is not a public thoroughfare.
Oh.
So it'll be while Mom's in-house, she'll be able to use this thoroughfare. But then once they are discharged, they're expected to come up through the center of the tower and enter the unit that way. So it's not a public thoroughfare. So that will help.
And this hallway is where the baby would be transported down from the delivery area, the birthing area. Mm-hmm. Oh, very nice. Very nice. And so are you thinking also of running kind of simulations of that experience as well?
Yeah.
And do you take
how
any...
we would do a code. And how we would do a code. That's going to be one of our simulations because we have emergency equipment in each pod right now that we're going to go to on the cart system. And so, and reintubation boxes and that kind of stuff. So we'll need simulations for all those things.
Right. So from an education perspective then, I would imagine this is probably going to be high profile for competency-based orientation / education for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And
we're
until people build real confidence.
Yeah, we're actually going to not hire from like March to probably September.
Yeah.
So that the current staff can get confident.
Really solid. Yeah.
In their skills.
That's excellent. Wow.
So it's a lot.
This is so wicked exciting. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. But it's, what's nice talking with you, Jean, is that you've got a very clear plan. And I mean, everything I've asked you, it's you've already been thinking about this, and you know how it's going to go. And not that it's etched in stone, because things can always change, but you've got a good strategy, you've got a good action plan. And I mean, just from my experience with you guys, you've got a really awesome team that's help you do this. So you have right now, is it a specific council that's dedicated to just the new environment transition, or is it another group that's taken on this?
It's another group that's taken on this. They're working together. NICU Council, which is my overriding council for all my nurses. All the generations of my nurses are part of this NICU Council.
Nice.
All the committees are under the umbrella of NICU Council. So NICU Council itself is taking on the issue with the Skyping, but they're working with the moving and the education committee to make sure that everything gets answered.
Oh, nice. So how many staff would you say then are part of this kind of infrastructure of the council and the committees?
Probably like 50.
Wow. I mean, and the reason why I asked that is, because the more penetration you have, right, the more buy-in, and the more the fingers go out to, all the bedside clinicians, everybody can really feel like they are contributing and part of the solution, which and then facilitates the acceptance of this transition in a more positive way. Each
committee also includes 2 attendings and 2 nurse practitioners, as well as nursing staff.
Oh my gosh! So it's truly interprofessional. That is really awesome.
And also, and respiratory therapy is part of some of the committees. And
nice. Rehab, probably. Yeah. Really, really cool. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I know you've gone through a few iterations of, design, renovations in your unit and stuff. This one sounds like pretty gigantic, and awesome and exciting. What kinds of words of wisdom would you share with other NICU clinicians and leaders that are about to embark on a project of this magnitude? Given your experience in past renovations and this current opportunity that you have, what would you offer them?
Well, one of the things I would do is make sure that part of the group is somebody who has a clear understanding of what government regulations are.
You mean like political government?
Here in New York State, there's a lot of rules about exposure to natural light, and you have to have, for so many rooms, you have to have this, and and we didn't have that in the beginning.
I see.
And then, so some of the things we wanted to do, we couldn't do because of some of the things we wanted to do changed a little bit. So that was one of the first things, is there's to understand what the regulations are in your own state. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, and it's different in whichever year you're building.
In
year? The regulations,
Holy moly.
Each year the regulations change.
Oh my gosh, just to keep you on your toes.
Just for fun. But once we got the right person for that, things went really smoothly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then, it's just include as many people as you. Once we had the plan, then we could start including people. But we did lose a lot of buy-in when we didn't have enough information to give them.
Oh, really? Okay. And that was that when you were explaining how you maybe, kind of prematurely got people? Oh, okay. Were you able to recover that? And
partially. We haven't completely recovered yet, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
Just because they want things to happen yesterday.
Oh, absolutely.
And it doesn't happen that way.
No, nothing happens that way.
But now once the phones get here and we start testing the things, then I think the buy-in's going to come back.
Right,
because
then it'll be real. Concrete. Yeah, excellent.
And it's something that everybody's going to want to try. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's really their lifeline. So if their biggest barrier is really safety, like access to people during emergencies and all that other kind of stuff, addressing that is,
Yeah.
as priority number one is going to be super reassuring.
Yeah. So
Cool.
that's yeah, that'll be the major hurdle. And then I think
What's
it will be very
yeah.
real to them.
Yeah. Is there something that follows, like after you address the communication things and stuff? Will you then jump into kind of the workflow simulations and stuff like that, or?
Yep. Yeah, they
Yep.
just can't even think now past these phones and the communication.
Yeah.
That's really their biggest fear.
Okay.
And I think once we prove to them that we have a working system,
yeah.
then I think their minds are just going to open up and fly.
Wow. So exciting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is there any possibility that maybe, not in May, because I think you'll be wicked busy, but maybe June or July of next year, after the dust has settled, and I'll let you determine when the dust has settled, would you ever consider doing this again and, kind of sharing some of those hindsight, experiences and revelations? Because really, Jean, I think this is what clinicians are dying for. They're dying for, what was your real experience, and help me really understand the details, and, how's your staff responding, and what are their number one priorities. And I massively appreciate you giving me this time and sharing all of this information with me, because I think this helps people not only advocate for the new space, but embrace the opportunity to have a new space that,
yeah.
At the end of the day, you're creating a healing space, number one for your patients and your families, but also mindful that that space work for the staff, because they're the, kind of the, I don't know, the guardians, if you will, the guardians of the space and safety and the quality and medical integrity of the patients. So
yeah. One of the things that we did kind of discover today is, and this is a rare thing, but we do have a family that we're afraid to leave alone with their baby.
Oh no.
So.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first thing I had to think about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and kind of troubleshoot or come up with some kind of an algorithm